All right. Okay, here we are. Hey everyone, this is Achyuta Baba from Nightlight Astrology, and today I'm doing some live eclipse readings from the audience. So I thought I would come on today and ask for some birth charts from the audience to give you guys tips on how to read the eclipse, not just in the appropriate sign and house within your birth chart, but also given what else might be going on. Sometimes just seeing a few charts read with an eclipse going on will give you some sense of how to approach your own chart if you're a student of astrology. And if not, then it's really interesting to just see the mechanics of a reading, or just little mini readings anyway, because they give you a lot of insight into how nuanced and specific something like an eclipse can be once you start looking at it within the context of a birth chart. So I thought this would be fun this week. It's eclipse week. Just do a few different live streams this week and have fun with it. Where are you guys all coming from? Throw out your, let's do a little roll call in the chat box. I'd love to hear from you guys. And yeah, I have some good stories to share too today from Mars opposite Uranus yesterday. And maybe I might be doing an episode of the Grabbed series, maybe tomorrow. It depends, because there's a few other ideas I have sort of cooking right now for Friday's content. So we'll see. But at any rate, before I dive in to today's eclipse readings, and I will be asking for your birth information in a minute if you'd like to be a volunteer, and that would be time, date, and location of birth. And please don't spam the chat box. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Before I do that, I want to remind you all that I am in the process of the last calendar days of the year. I fundraise to support this channel. So if you are able to donate and support my annual Kickstarter, I would really appreciate it. We are, as of today, we're a couple of days in. We started on Monday of this week, and we are at 173 backers so far, which is our fastest start in, this is my 8th year of doing a Kickstarter to support my content creation in the year ahead. And this is the fastest start we've ever had. So thank you to all of you who have donated and supported my work. I really appreciate it. I'm going to put the link in the chat box. It's in the description of this video. It's in the comments section of this video. If you are able to pitch in and support my work, I greatly appreciate it. When you pitch in and support my channel, you can pick out a variety of different rewards. Some of the best ones are going to be the readings that I offer. I offer in-depth video for every rising sign for the entirety of 2022, a 22-year ahead reading for your sun or rising sign. I also have personalized videos based on your birth chart. There's only a limited amount of those available because I have to actually make them myself rather than recording for one rising sign. I make them individually based on your birth chart, and I look at the biggest transit for your year ahead. That's one of the better rewards too. And then obviously the most popular offering I have is for people who want to study in my programs. You can study in any of my programs, or you can bundle multiple of my programs together and save 50% off or more if you bundle them. So it's a really good deal on all of my online classes in 2022. And I hope to see some of you in class. A lot of students throughout the year come in and are able to afford it because of the Kickstarter rate. So really appreciate your support. My goal for today is to see if we can cross 200 backers. Our backer total last year was 1,366. And this year we're shooting for just one more. If we can even beat that number by one, that would be a big success. So we're trying to match or beat our goal from last year. If you can pitch in and help us get to 200 today, I'd really appreciate it. I love making this content for you guys. It means a lot to me. Let me just show you what the Kickstarter looks like on the screen so you can see. Here's the Kickstarter page. You can see we've got 173 backers. remember that the funds that we raise from this support my staff. They support me and my family. They support a bunch of different projects we do throughout the year, need-based scholarships that we offer. So when you come on this page, the link is in the chat box again. Here you go. I'll put it in one more time for you guys. And you can pick out a reward when you pledge at different levels, including tons of different exclusive lectures as well. Really good stuff in there. So thank you for supporting my channel in 2021. This year was a big success because of you guys last year, and I hope you'll support me again in the next year ahead. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do some mini readings for those of you who are in the audience and would like to take a look at how this eclipse is affecting your birth chart a little bit more specifically. So if you are interested in volunteering your birth chart, I will just use your first name on the chart. And oh, there's Ray. Ray, do you want to come on with me? If you're in the chat box, I can send you an invite real quick if you want to hop on with me. Let me just see if I can catch his attention. I'm going to send you an invite, Ray. Well, let's see if I can get you on. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can figure this out really quick. Reydiant Reality is going to join us. He's going to come and help me. This will be fun. I just have to figure out how to invite. Okay, here's my link. And let me see here. Well, we'll see. I don't know if he just popped in really quick and popped back out. I just sent him the link, so maybe he will be able to join me here. I'm going to send him an email too. Hold on, because I was trying to catch him. And he was going to join me and help me do these readings. So this would be really fun. All right. Okay, well, in the meantime, I'm going to get going with the chart and we'll see if we can catch him. See if I can catch his attention. Actually, let me try one more thing. All right. Okay, so while I'm waiting for him to potentially join us, which would be super fun and random, I am going to take someone from the chat box here. We're going to take Sassy's Yoga and Astrology. This was the first one that I just saw. So October 24th, 1985. We're looking at 9:14 a.m. in Houston, Texas. Your chart is being named Sassy. So, and your Scorpio rising with all of the energy ever created in Scorpio. Okay, let's just have fun with this. And I'm going to see if Raph is here. Is he? Not yet. Okay. Okay, so Sassy's Yoga and Astrology. And I just sent Ray a message again, being like, hey, here's the link. Join up if you can. We'll see if he does. But if not, then maybe I can convince him to do another live cast with me tomorrow. We're in different time zones, so it's sometimes hard to catch each other. And I'm going to put Sassy's chart up on the screen. And oh, there he is. Oh, he's here. Okay, here we go. Okay, there you are. Now I'm going to I'm going to make you a co-host. And can you start your video?
I can. How are you doing? Hey, good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. I'm so glad we could make it work. I was like, I don't know. It's kind of last minute. I'm just swinging around here. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well,
I was
Sassy's
literally
yoga.
just filming the content for my channel. So yeah, caught you at just the last minute. Really, really glad to be here.
Oh,
I'm gonna pull up the YouTube thingy so that I can check in on the chat as well.
yeah, totally. Well, cameo guest appearance from Raphael Rey today from Reydiant Tarot, Reydiant Reality YouTube channel, one of my good buddies, and really happy to have him here today so we can talk some astrology. What I'm doing today is I'm pulling up some birth charts from the audience to do some readings with. And I thought one of the things we could do is kind of double with, so for example, I'll just pull up the chart and I'll show you what I was thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me if you're ready. You got your cards?
I'm ready. I've got decks in front of me. If you don't mind, I just bless them before we start.
Yeah, go for it.
Before we start, as always, I would like to bless the decks of cards with all forms of love, like peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that whatever messages come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help everyone on their paths to their highest vibrational good.
Awesome.
Right.
Can you see Sassy's chart on the screen?
I can see the chart on the screen.
Okay, so here's what I thought we would do. I thought we would start with, we'll look at every individual's, we're going to look at some individual charts to give people tips for reading the eclipse that's coming through today into tomorrow within the context of a natal chart.
Nice.
But as we go, we'll so you and I will kind of maybe give a little bit of a reading with what's going on with this chart. I could say some things about the chart and the eclipse. Maybe you can pull some cards. We'll do some examples like this, but then we can also speak generally to eclipses happening in the 7th house. So for example, in this chart, the eclipse is happening in the 7th house. So we'll refresh on some of the basics of what this means for all Scorpio risings out there. And then maybe you could say a few things as well about eclipses in the 7th right now. And then you and I will dive into maybe a little bit more specifics for this individual. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, brilliant. Let's go for it.
All right, cool. So so when you're Scorpio rising, we all know this eclipse is coming through in Taurus. If this is brand new, if this is total news to you, make sure you watch yesterday's video where I break down the eclipse a little bit more. But here we have an eclipse coming through in Taurus in the 7th house. It's a place of relationships. And generally speaking, the eclipse cycles that happen in this house bring people together or separate people. We have natural times of meeting and we have natural times of departure in our relationships. Eclipses often mark those seasons in our lives. And also in the 7th house, relationships evolve. An existing relationship can evolve on any level, emotionally, sexually, in terms of your communication dynamics, in terms of the job status of a partner, the health status of a partner, things happening in the family of a partner. So things that are not necessarily unique to you, but something going on in the life of someone that you're very close with. Also, any kind of significant person entering your life that's meant to have a much deeper personal impact on you. Sometimes, for example, when I had Jupiter traveling through my 7th, I met my guru. So sometimes it's not just a romantic partner, but someone that's going to be an important other. That's not just a temporary coincidental person, having a deeper impact. So, and you look back 2012 and 13, 2003 and 4 at eclipse cycles that landed in the 7th house to get more information. But that's kind of what I'm seeing now. If you're, if you're a Scorpio rising, anyone out there, set aside Sassy's chart for a minute, which we're going to talk about in a second. Raph, do you want to say anything about eclipses in the 7th for people with Taurus in the 7th and Scorpio rising?
Yeah. So just hearing you talk was really great, and it got my mind thinking. So the fact that you're going to be having an eclipse in Taurus in the 7th, it really feels like when we think about Taurus, we talk about, money and resources and value and stuff. there's a feeling for me, especially because it's a lunar eclipse, it's like the universe is pushing or forcing out the last of what we kind of, like when you come to the end of a harvest and you're like pushing out or getting rid of the last bits before you can restock again. I kind of feel like this eclipse is doing that for everybody on a whole. In the seventh house, specifically for Sassy, I find this really interesting because Venus is obviously over there in the 12th. And there's a part of me that feels like you may hear from somebody from your past that may come back in. Now, I often say to people, not every time that somebody comes back into our lives is for a reconnection. Sometimes it's just meant to show us how far we've come, how far we've evolved, what we've let go of. So this eclipse, in that regard, I feel like could definitely bring someone back from the past. I'm not entirely convinced that it's for keeps because it's a lunar eclipse. If it was a solar eclipse, I might be more sort of acquiescent to that idea. The other thing I've written down here as well is abundance versus waste. I kind of feel like for all of us, this eclipse is going to show us where do you have an abundance of something and where is it that you're wasting that abundance. And then finally, with the last bit, it's in order to invite in what we're hoping to bring in next, this eclipse is getting us to force out what we're either no longer using, what doesn't do what it says on the tin anymore. All of those kinds of themes really feel like they're prominent at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Right. I can't help but notice a few things that are happening in the periphery of Sassy's chart right now. One is that this is we're moving into a nodal return. So the nodal returns mean that the kinds of things that are happening around both identity and relationships for you right now, not just right now, but throughout the eclipses that will occur in the spring of 2022 and the fall of 2022. These eclipses are like major transits in the birth chart. They're not just your run-of-the-mill eclipses that we all get every year in different houses and signs, because these are recurring eclipses around the time that you were born. In fact, you were born with the sun in Scorpio near the South Node, which means that you were born just days prior to a lunar eclipse in Taurus, just like the one we're having today into tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of certain things that you were born or destined to experience around your sense of identity and around intimate relationships is coming to bear on your life in the next year and a half as these eclipses come through. And this is the first one. So know it's a process, and know that the transformation is a word that we use, like instant, quick, fast, deep, intense. But transformation is really like, if you were to go out with someone, I had a friend say this recently, if you were to go out with a friend every 2 weeks for coffee over 2 years, you probably wouldn't mark the changes week to week. But if you saw a picture of the person, the first day that you went out for coffee and 2 years later, you would really note the change then if you saw the difference. Yeah. And that's the process of slow eclipses and fixed signs, right? These fixed signs and angular houses, deep issues around identity and what can I give and love and relationships. I'd also watch that Venus retrograde coming up at the end of December in your third house. And how is your mindset going to be changing about relationships coming up? And this is like a turning point in your life around these things because of that nodal return. And I agree with what Raph was saying as well, given that the seventh house ruler in your chart is in the 12th, that this could be a moment of clearing things out. Maybe it's also looking at what's healthy versus unhealthy influences in your life. Anything you want to add to that, Raph?
No, I think that it's brilliant. And I love the part about this being so close to this person's birthday, because it kind of feels like, in a way, this eclipse could be a moment where you're literally being born again. And I kind of feel that whenever we reach those points in our lives, it's almost like a universal way of saying, I've shaped you into what you need to be for what your soul asked for. You take the wheel from here. So, I just got goosebumps as I said that. It's no pressure, Sassy. It could be a wonderful time for you, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take another one here in the chat box. I am seeing one coming in from, let's see here, Che's Eye. It has a little lightning bolt by it, and that caught my attention. Smart. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm going to put Che for the name, and I apologize if I'm not getting that, if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. But I'll put it up on the screen. It's November 2nd, 1995 at 1:32 a.m. in Nottingham. Is that Great? GB is Great Britain?
Is that? Yeah. That's here.
Can I put England in? Will that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to, it would be cool if there was a way that we could live stream this to both of our channels at the same time. Like that would be really fun. But I'm going to put this up on the screen now. Let me just double check and make sure I got it. So I've got November 2nd, 1995, 1:32 a.m. in Nottingham. Okay, can you see, it looks like Virgo rising. Can you see this?
Yes.
So let's start by talking about if you're a Virgo rising. If you're a Virgo rising, you're getting eclipses for the next year and a half as the nodes are changing signs here. We're getting our first eclipse in Taurus. These eclipses are going to be landing in your ninth house. Broadly speaking, they activate the ninth and the third. We've got some Scorpio people deciding that they're all the Scorpios are interested in this today. So another Scorpio sun sign here. But let's start with the ninth house eclipses. Raph, what are you thinking about when you think about ninth house eclipses for all those Virgo risings out there in general right now?
Ooh, higher mind stuff, definitely. Also, so when we talk about the ninth house, obviously lots of people talk about belief structure, which is totally relevant. But also, I think more for Virgo risings, one of the things that I said for the stuff that I put out for the year ahead was this looks like a lot of Virgo risings are coming into the understanding of what they actually want to say to the world and finding a way to put that into like a cohesive body of work to say, this is what I have to say, this is what I have to share with people. It's something that I deeply believe in. It's something that I maybe even live by, and I want to share this with people. I'm really intrigued by the fact that that's the lot of fortune, isn't it, at 13 degrees. In this person's chart specifically, I wonder then if this is going to be a light bulb moment that comes maybe through a spiritual process, that comes maybe, possibly in a dream or through a conversation with somebody that's very different to them, that really wakes them up in some way, shape or form. It could be quite a transformative moment, but one that kind of shatters all paradigms that they're aware of. I wonder about that because it's like right there, and I think about the Uranus part of it as well. So really interesting.
Raph, you know what we did? Because you guys across the pond order your month and day backward compared to us. We got through. So, but if you were out there with a ninth house eclipse, you just got a great download if you're a Virgo rising. It turns out that Shay is a Scorpio rising. So, so we are back to the seventh house again, which is like, surprise, surprise. It feels like there's, but it's still a Scorpio rising. So not an Aquarius sun, but a Scorpio rising. So the Scorpios are still here. Why don't we shift gears? And let me just say, by the way, if you are someone who's Virgo rising and you have the Taurus eclipse in your ninth house, that what Raph said is spot on. You think about the philosophical lens of your life changing significantly. But at any rate, here we have relationships again. We already talked about that. So let's just say a few things about Che's chart overall that we might add to the fact that we've got a Taurus eclipse in the seventh. Anything pop out at you right away? It's a nodal return again, but it's this time it's going to be a flipped nodal return. So it's halfway through a cycle. So the same thing applies in terms of the amplification of the topics of identity and relationships right now. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the fact that Saturn is now currently in the fourth and is going to start sort of having a little tiswas with that point of the descendant. So yeah, home, family, and relationship stuff could come up. One of the things that I'm tempted to say with this as well, maybe the direction of your relationships or don't really mesh so well with the family, or vice versa. Maybe there's a real difference in ideologies or backgrounds in some way, shape, or form. Definitely possible. I think it's probably going to take a lot of talking to kind of build a bridge in some way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm looking and saying, you know, the sun in the fourth. I wonder about the karma of the father being a theme right now. Saturn and the sun, Saturn moving toward that sun in the fourth house. And also questions about identity out in the world and relationships simultaneously. For example, I would not be surprised if this was the, you know, like a lot of charts I've seen very similarly, where it's like I'm coming home from college and, you know, it's maybe a girl bringing home their girlfriend, and mom and dad are like, wait, you're not dating guys? You know what I mean? And it's one of those, it's like, okay, now it's, you know, it's an interesting holiday season. I'm making that up, of course, but it could definitely be where the karma around parents, relationships, family, and the conversation between the two is amplified at the moment. And deeper questions also about identity because of the sun being involved and the sun's square to the ascendant descendant. So yeah, I like that. Well, we're going to keep going because we've already done one in the seventh house. So we'll keep going and see if we can roll the dice and find someone who doesn't have a seventh house eclipse at the moment. Thank you, Shay, for sharing that with us.
Oh, can I backtrack for 2 seconds and just pull a card for Sassy and a card for Shay?
Yeah, sure, of course.
When you're ready,
I'm going to look for another one. Oh, when?
All right, so Sassy, your card for the year ahead is the Hanged Man. All right, so one of the things that I would say to you is try to take this next, well, the whole eclipse season as it unfolds over the next 18 months. And from here on in, try to take this as a time where you are really getting acquainted with going at the same speed that life is already traveling. All right, like really just let it unfold for you rather than trying to push it ahead. I kind of get the feeling from the Hanged Man that it's saying you're going to arrive where you want to be anyway. So why not get there in one piece and still happy? You know, for Shay, you have the 10 of Wands. This is a very interesting card in that it speaks to this idea of the burdens that we release. And it also suggests to me, and it has done many a time, it's come up in this way. Sometimes you're about to say something that is not necessarily a popular opinion. And that comes through with everything that the tutor just said. So yeah, very interesting with the intersection.
Nice. I have one here from Jennifer Thompson. We're going to do Jennifer Thompson's chart. And I can't wait till I just can't wait till next month too, because let me tell you, we're going to come on and do some live readings for that Venus retrograde, and everyone will be, there'll be 1,000 people here freaking out. Oh my God.
It's definitely going to wake people up, that one for sure.
Yeah. Oh goodness. All right. Jennifer Thompson, you are, but you said Jersey Love. You gave me your date and your time, but I'm not, I think that would be New Jersey, but like you need to tell me the city and the state if you're still listening. So I'm going to put this in and hopefully you can tell me what that is. You got the time, you got the date, you just got to give me the city. And let's see if it's showing up. Do I see her in here anywhere? Eastern time. Okay. Yep. But where's the city and state, Jennifer Thompson? Passaic, New Jersey. Okay. So it was New Jersey. Well, that was, close enough. All right. So No, you got to be kidding me. Another Scorpio rising? This is
No
crazy.
way. It's like everybody here was Scorpio.
Everyone here is just Scorpio rising today. That's nuts. So, all right. We'll pull it up and we'll take a quick look, but it's going to be largely the same in terms of the house location. We've got it in the 7th house. So, relationships. Is this a Venus ruled eclipse after all? The theme of relationships looms large in this eclipse because it's the domicile of Venus. So, the potential for issues around relationships to come up is just a part of this eclipse in general. Plus, Venus is moving toward Pluto and about to turn retrograde. Okay, well, let's look at Jennifer Thompson's chart in particular, rather than saying more about 7th house eclipses. This is also a nodal return for Jennifer. So that's 3 people in a row. That's really impressive that would just randomly happen like that.
Yeah, it really is. That's quite interesting.
Yeah. Anything come to mind for you, Raph?
All right. So the first thing, just obviously she's got Venus in the 1st. So in a way, I kind of feel like this might be a time where taking your power back in relationships and with relationships from here on in, kind of, not a case of being so much selfish as self-focused and self-determined. Taking the onus off of the relationships that we have with whoever it might be and putting it on ourselves and saying, how do I nourish me in this moment in time? What do I, what am I prepared to do or to give to myself now in order to be better for relationships as they might come up? I pulled a card for Jennifer and she's got the 3 of Pentacles, which in a lot of ways is about learning and study. And so this could be a time where you are learning and studying to really give back to yourself, to really be, in your own power, as it were. The other thing with this card as well, it can sometimes speak to the energy of ignoring good advice. So one thing that I will say to you, Jennifer, take a minute to consider. Just because you don't like the source of the information doesn't mean the information isn't good.
The other thing that I would emphasize for Jennifer right now is, holy cow, look at what's about to happen. Literally, holy cow of Taurus. You're going to have, you've got the eclipse in your 7th and then a series of eclipses in your 7th. But what's going to happen in the next couple of months here is Uranus is preparing to cross the descendant in your chart and oppose the ruler of the 7th, Venus, in Scorpio in the 1st. That's a big deal. Like that's not a small transit. And you're gonna usually the theme of if Uranus likes anything, you're in relationships, it's experimentation. It's doing things differently than you've done them before. Sparkly, fun flings can happen with this kind of transit. So be careful if you're in a long-term relationship and you're feeling tempted away, talk to your partner, talk through it, because whatever pops up usually under such a transit and tempts you away from the fidelity of a relationship probably won't last. And it probably represents something that's just stirring inside that you might do better just talking to a partner about. This is like definitely one of those affair making transits I've seen tons of times. So that's why I say that. On the other hand, when a couple needs to rekindle the spark, or they need some way of getting back together after they've grown stagnant, Uranus can come in and really excite that kind of connection or bond. If you're single, it can definitely be like a fun stretch in dating, or meeting, having fun or something like that. But it's not the most committal of a aspect. It tends to like freedom and fun and no strings attached, kind of fun collaborations, or it can signal a period of creative release, spontaneity, and rapid development in a relationship that's already committed, but also surprises. I mean, just kind of with Uranus, it's always the unexpected and the disruptions that come in and challenge our sense of identity in this case, and challenge the structure of existing relationships. And that's a big transit that you have in the next few months, what to speak of the eclipse. So worth mentioning.
Nice. Yeah, really nice.
So I think we'll take a few more, Raph, if that's good with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see here. I like the name here. This is Happy Hippie Vintage. Doesn't that sound like fun?
Yeah.
Raph's like, I don't know if it sounds like fun, but
I'm sorry, I'm kind of distracted. I'm just putting a post out to let everyone know to come over
okay,
from
fun.
my channel.
Happy Hippie Vintage. And this is a Sagittarius Rising, so we know
Yay.
we are what we're getting here. That's why I chose it. I was like, and let's see, this is 4:01 a.m. in Evansville, Indiana. And yeah, Sagittarius Rising. Let's see if I got that. Oh, I did. Okay, I managed to put the correct information in. So let me just double check it one more time. Yep, we're good. So I'm going to put it up on the screen. I'll also give us something fun to talk about, because if you're a Sagittarius rising, I think you have arguably one of the more challenging placements for these eclipses in the 6th and 12th house. So do Gemini risings. And so let's talk about that for a moment before we get into the specifics. Let's just do it flipped for Gemini or Sag. If you're a Gemini or Sag rising, you're going to have the eclipses landing in houses 6 or 12. These were the malefic houses. Like, these are the houses that are just a pain in the butt. There's lots of good that can come out of them, but it's important that you not, like, kind of try to whitewash the difficulty, try to understand what the difficulties might be, and then try to understand how to work with them. The 6th house difficulties, to me, are the kinds of difficulties that come prior to anything successful. If you listen to people who have won gold medals, or people who have done, amazing things starting from nothing, working their way up, whether it's an author or whether it's an athlete or whatever, there's a lot of bumps and bruises, nicks and scrapes along the way. And the 6th house is called the joy of Mars. It was related to self-sacrifice. It was related to hard work. It was also related to like servitude and slavery, sickness and disease. So if you think about the 6th house as the place of frustrating hard work and labor, the development of which is not fun, but will often pay off. This house has a trine to the 10th house by whole sign, which means it was one of the houses considered when looking at a person's career. This is not the fun part of your career. It's the grind, perhaps, but really positive things come out of the grind if we stick with it and sort of take our lumps. I think that's one way of looking at the 6th. The other one would be, look, sickness comes up, frustrations come up. Character is made not, maybe nowhere else in life better than or more than how we respond to adversity. Excuse me. So that's a little bit of the 6th house. If you're a Sag rising, that's where the eclipses are falling. And you've got like a year and a half of dealing with that kind of stuff. It's not like it's going to be that way every day, but the process of what you're working through is going to require digging deep, making some sacrifices, and also being willing to be a student of your experiences. And don't let yourself get too frustrated or try to push things too quickly. Now, if you're a Gemini rising, you've got it in the 12th house. And the 12th house is going, because we're just flipping it, right? So if you're a Gemini rising, it falls in your 12th house. The 12th house is like our blind spot in the chart. It's literally talked about that way. And it was called the house of the evil spirit. It was the joy of Saturn. And it has to do with any kind of influence within ourselves, within the environment, within our lives that carries us away from our health and sanity, from our better judgment, from our true character, from our integrity, right? And of course, we learn from it. If we live a reflective life, then it's going to happen to us. We're all going to have 12th house seasons and moments and so forth, and we're going to learn from it. And so, but it's less about the 12th house, I would say, is more about the process of growing existentially, psychologically. The 6th has a lot more to do with the labor of things that you're working on that are a little bit more practical and worldly. If I had to say that what the difference of the 12th house, similar kind of work, sacrifice, difficulties, but the work is really on the interior of your soul, of your very being. And so it has a little bit more of a spiritual connotation. it was called the house of the evil spirit, whereas the 6 was called the house of bad fortune. Fortune is like worldly stuff. Spirit refers to the inner life of the spirit soul. So, but similar kinds of like hard work, sacrifice, loss, difficulties. But what are you discovering? What riches are coming through that process? So that's the 12th, 6th. If you're a Sag or Gemini rising, and we're just flipping the two. Raph, before we go into Happy Hippie Vintages chart, do you have anything you want to say in general about the 6th and 12th house eclipses?
Yeah, so the one thing that I had an image actually that popped into my mind when you were talking about the 6th. Do you remember the film Kung Fu? And he had the thing with the water, and he had to walk up the stairs with the water. Yep. That's the image that kind of really spoke to me with that. Also, with the 12th house stuff, I've always felt with eclipses that happen there, if these are moments that have the potential to take us in very different or new directions in life, an eclipse in the 12th, I kind of feel, especially with like a lunar eclipse in the 12th, I get this feeling that it's like the universe says, right, here's your Hoover, here's your bucket, here's your bleach, there's your closet. Until it's clean, you're not coming back out. And it's like it goes in and burns away whatever karma or crap is in there. But in order for you to really do that or to release it, and the 12th house, one big word that came to me was surrender. Like if you can surrender to that process of being emptied out on the psyche level, you really then become so much lighter, and it allows you to kind of really fly in a sense. I know that sounds really odd. It's just, I remember the eclipses bouncing between my 6th and 12th. And that's really how it felt for me. It's like, you're going to look at this, whether you want to or not. But once it was done, I felt so much lighter inside. It was insane.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I remember mine led me to see a therapist. And the last ones that I had were happening when I decided to start doing regular therapy with a Jungian, because I was carrying the weight of seeing clients every day, but not talking to anyone myself. And it started especially those 12th house eclipses, they just started hitting, just walloping me. And I was a brand new father as well, right around that time. And so it was just like, okay, I need some support. And I think that's another key for those eclipses in 6 or 12. If you're a Sag or Gemini right now, is like, find your resources. Who are your helpers? Who are your healers? Who's your team that can help you through the process as well? That's probably advice that I wish I would have known going into those eclipses of my own when I sought out that help myself,
Brilliant.
Here is Happy Hippie Vintages chart. Can you see it again?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So one of the things that really struck me was obviously Saturn's moving through the 3rd house. So those eclipses in the 6th are definitely going to be, if you go through a process of feeling like, I know I need to learn this, but I just don't seem to be able to get it. Or maybe I'm stupid because I'm not grasping this. You're really not. It's just that you're learning it to the minute detail. I kind of feel like that's really relevant for you in some area of your life.
Right. I'm looking at this and, Raph, do you want me to say something now, or are you going to keep going?
Yeah, no, just I've got a Page of Pentacles card for you. More than anything, this card at its deeper level talks to finding your purpose. Now, and the reason we say this is because this card can represent the body of the soul. And we say that your soul draws you to things that are your purpose. Quick sidebar about purpose. And I'm getting really into typifying this for people, because nowadays it's become such a buzzword. You have many purposes throughout your life. You're not an object to be discarded once you've fulfilled a purpose. You have many. Do you know what I mean? Because nowadays it's like, well, I haven't found my purpose, so I might as well just hang up my shoes. Come on, you'll have several purposes throughout your life: to be a friend, to be happy, to live well, to do a job, to whatever it might be. So this Page of Pentacles for you is really speaking to finding what your next purpose is. And it is going to take grind. It is going to take heart and effort, but you will absolutely see the results from it when you are done.
I like to say to people that we're, like people, like it's like souls that where's my purpose? And I'm like, it's on Black Friday, get in line with the PlayStation 5s, like you got you go buy it at the store, don't you know? And
Yeah.
and you know and it's like, in bhakti yoga we say that we have purposes so that we can discover each other, so that we can discover like love, and start to realize that beyond purpose is relationship. Purpose really is teaching us the art of love, and that purpose is in service to like just getting to know and love other beings in creation, which is really where our happiness lies, more than the outcomes of our purpose and all this stuff. Is like how the purposes that we have bring us to love each other more. That's my 2 cents on that. But I just love the way you put that about there's not just one purpose.
Yeah, brilliant. I think that's so true as well. We're when we talk about hustle and grind and all the rest of it, it's really easy to forget that actually everything we do is about finding a way to connect. So I love the way that you put that, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. For Happy Hippie Vintages chart, what I'm really looking at in this chart, obviously there's the eclipse in Taurus in the 6th. When I look at this chart, I go, what's coming up for you in the next year to 2 years is Pluto opposing a really challenging Mars placement in your chart. Here's a fallen Mars in the 8th retrograde as the ruler of the 12th house, also the ruler of the South Node. Big changes around money and finances. I've seen this kind of thing when there ends up being like custody battles over kids, hard issues around family and conflicts that have to do with marriage or family, possibly challenges in raising your children or something like that. So just challenges around, maybe kids' behaviors or something, because this is the 5th house ruler, Mars, the place of children. But major changes coming. It could also affect finances across the 2nd and 8th house. But when we look at the 6th, it's often really important with the 6th and 12th house eclipses, because they can just generally mean drama and stress. And so it's important to go like, well, where else in the chart are we seeing drama and stress? Because those eclipses are sometimes just signals that you're going into a little bit of that space overall. So then the other transits will be the ones that tell you, what are the specifics. And here, when I look at, I go like, what's the other piece of evidence that there's major shifting happening around family karma right now with that fallen Mars in Cancer? Neptune's going over the IC in the 4th house. That's happening like right now. So there's big shifts happening. Happy hippie vintage, I would say, probably around home, family, resources, and maybe some conflict around these things. That might be a little bit of what's setting the tone here for you, because what else is going to happen before the end of this Pluto opposite Mars transit? While these eclipses in your 6th are still happening, Saturn's going to oppose your natal moon as well, the 8th house ruler. So yeah, there's a lot of big family stuff coming as far as I can tell. But the way that I would prepare for that if I were you is, make sure that you have an area of life every day that's devoted to your serenity, because serenity brings sanity, and sanity brings the best way to move through challenging times in our life is to be sane. Most of the time, we say, oh, that's insane, that's crazy. But really, we all go into little bouts of insanity and craziness like every day, like for 5-10 minutes at a time. It's like, it's pretty normal to do so, and when we do so, and it's in the midst of a crisis, that's when we end up experiencing the crisis as a terrible thing. It's usually not that the crisis is that terrible that we can't respond to it constructively or move through it or learn something from it or have a positive attitude about it. It's usually small spurts of time where we're not in our center. During a crisis, we make bad choices. And that can really be changed by having daily practices of serenity, whatever they may be, So that would be what I would really encourage you to make sure you're staying home with in the next couple of years here.
Yeah, wow. It looks like an interesting time ahead for Happy Hippie Vintage, for sure.
That's right. I think we'll take just one more because I have to get going. So I think we'll take one more. We'll do it just kind of quick. Let's see here. I've got another interesting name we're going to look at. This one is Raven Gray. Oh, no,
Oh,
what? You know
nice.
what? She says she's a Taurus rising. I'm sorry, first and seventh house have gotten eliminated. I'm just not, I
Yeah,
want to shake it up so we get something a little different. A Leo rising from Gorkum Kosar from Turkey. So that sounds like a good one.
yeah, because I'm a Leo rising.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so Gorkum, I hope I've said your name correctly. Um, I went, by the way, and I saw the movie Dune last night.
How was it?
Oh my God, it was so epic.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it was just epic. And it made me think a lot about Leo energy. But anyway, I don't know why, that's just a random thought that popped into my head. Um, Izmir, Turkey, but you put 12 as your time, but I need to know if that's AM or PM. I don't know, in Turkey is 12 PM. Would that 12, just 12:00, would that be AM or PM? I'm guessing that would be PM.
Yeah,
Gorka,
I would say in the as in
that
12 noon.
it would be PM, right? Yeah. Sorry, Raven. We'll get you next time. And if Gorkum at noon, okay, thank you. Really appreciate that. So here we have a Leo rising, which means the eclipses are happening in the 10th house. If you're a Leo rising, that's the career house. What do you want to say about that one, Raf?
Ooh, yeah, interesting times for sure. I think that this is going to be a complete shake-up of career in general for Leo ascendants. I think this is also going to be a time where you might be incorporating some of the old and some of the new. I kind of get this feeling that there's going to be this, and maybe I'm drawing from my own experiences here, but I'm getting this feeling that it's going to be a collision between your past and your present and your future. And there's a sense here with the 10th house. I mean, one aspect of this, yes, it might change your status. So you could go from being single to partnered, from being partnered to single. That's definitely possible. But in terms of your worldly status or the way that you present to the world, this could be a moment at which, when I did the um, Uranus in Taurus specials years ago at this point now, one of the things that I said for the Leos was this could be a time where you take this monumental step upward. And if that is the case, just be sure and kind to everybody that you meet on the way up, because you never know who or what you're going to need on the way back down. With the fourth house stuff, very, very interesting. And I know, you know, Leos in general have kind of been smashed this year. My Nana, you know, bless her, she's actually not very well and she's a Leo. So this fourth house stuff for me does feel like there are going to be moments where things seem to be really expanding in your career, but something with your home life, something with your family is going to be, you know, when you see people running with the parachute strapped to their back, it's like you're trying to move forward, but there's this energy from the family, from the fourth house, you know, any that's kind of pulling you back or saying, well, you know, this expansion can't quite happen fully yet because you've got things to take care of here. The nodes in general, the North Node is in Taurus, so this suggests that whether you want it or not, that career expansion is coming. And the South Node in Scorpio or in the fourth is really suggesting that there are going to be things and possibly people, you know, touch wood, I hope it's not the case, that you might have to release or to let go of. And for some people, that might even be the place that you live in may have to change in order for this, you know, new illustrious career, let's say, to expand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to say with the 10th and the 4th. Now, this would apply, by the way, if you're a Leo rising or an Aquarius rising, because we're just flipping the houses. Taurus in the 10th or 4th, Scorpio in the 4th or 10th. So in either case, I like to think of the eclipses in these houses like competition for where the gravitational center is going to be. Everything else orbits around it. In which case, if it's the 10th house, family is going to have to constellate around work or your inner life or private time, things you like to do outside of that work or that professional drive. are going to be somehow in service to or orbiting around the gravitational center that is the career. Or it's going to be the opposite way around, where things that are happening in the private sphere of life are demanding more attention, more time, home and family life, perhaps. And the work is going to have to constellate around it. And that is the feeling. I'm not saying that you can't have a balance between the two, but the feeling of struggle, which area is going to be the gravitational center, is like a big question when you get eclipses pinging back and forth over a year and a half in these signs. So I would say that's something to watch for everybody right now who's a Leo or Aquarius rising in general. But in Gorkam's chart, the thing, and by the way, someone mentioned that this looks like it could be a rounded birth time. Gorkam, if you're listening, make sure that you have the actual time. You have ascending degree at 2 Leo, which means you're within minutes potentially of having a different rising sign. So if it's a lot later, 20, 30 minutes, you keep going later, you're going to go deeper into Leo. And so it wouldn't really change a lot from the whole sign perspective. But if you're any earlier than noon by not too much, you could be a Cancer rising. So just something to look into. What I noticed right away in Gorkam's chart are two things in addition to this big career stuff. And by the way, what you said is spot on in terms of May 2018, Uranus gets into the 10th house here in Gorkam's chart, starts working on his sun, so big changes in terms of the need for invention and newness, some kind of professional revolution has been at play. But congratulations, Gorkam, for also making it through a Pluto opposite moon era in your life. You're just about done with that right now. That's just finishing up. That had to have been potentially painful because at least, or very emotionally cathartic over a long, that kind of transformative process. Not easy. It's a vulnerable space, the Cancer moon for Pluto. So that subterranean impulse of Pluto can bring stuff up that's, it's pretty intense. But where I'm really looking at in your chart is the fact that in the near future, in 2023, Pluto is going to enter Aquarius, and it is going to square Mars or oppose Mars, right? You got your Saturn return going on right now until 2023. So there's a lot of focus on relationships over the next few years. And then boom, 2023 hits and Pluto is just it's like nuclear when it hits in opposition to Mars. The sense of deep, powerful, long-lasting life changes around relationships, and then simultaneously questions about your own sense of power, pride, respect, strength, dominance, questions about how much of yourself and your own power can you yield it cooperatively or with someone else, conflicts or power struggles within relationships that are a part of your development as a human being in this lifetime. Really powerful stuff coming in around relationships in the next few years. It's being the ground for which is being laid right now by eclipses in the career house. You can almost think of it like a story that's being told over the next couple of years, both career house eclipses, but then this huge process that's taking place in the house of relationships coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah, amazing. I also wanted to add as well, maybe think about as that starts to happen, think about maybe going in for a sport, a martial art, something that's going to give you a way to channel some of that explosive energy. And one of the things that really came to me with this as well was if you're going to be training or working on your body, train the small muscles or the synergist muscles just as much as you train, your body as a whole, because it will be those small things that really kind of hold you up, or something, touch wood, pops or clicks out of place and you're like, oh crap, now, I've got nothing to put this or to channel this energy into. It's really interesting that you brought this up, Ajuta, because the card that I flipped up was the King of Swords. This can be quite an intense card when it comes up, because it can talk about conflicts. One of the things that this card also reminds you, though, you have the ability to navigate through anything, providing you use your mind.
Nice. I am so thankful that you were able to come on today, that we were able to offer some advice for Gorkum and others here today, and give not hopefully what you guys got from this was not just some readings, but also for me as a student of astrology, when I see people read and when I see the connections that people make, it helps my own synapses connect. And it just stimulates me to get into that space of looking at my own chart with fresh eyes. And sometimes that's all you need, even if we weren't able to get to your chart today. Just taking a look at the symbols of different things that are happening in your chart in cooperation with where that house of Taurus is in your birth chart and how it's getting activated right now, that can be super helpful alone. I want to thank Raph from Reydiant Reality for coming over today. Just super to have you just pop in off the cuff like that. We're so thankful for your presence and your good energy and your insight. So really thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. As always, I love what you do. And if you're out there and watching this, you have a chance to get on one of the best astrology courses out there at a discounted rate. So get over to the Kickstarter and pledge. Like, seriously, it'll be one of the best courses you ever take. I know it was for me. And I said to Delia actually not too long ago, taking your course and looking at astrology in that way actually made me a better tarot reader. I genuinely believe that.
Oh, thanks, man. That means a lot to me. I really appreciate that. I am going to, on that note, say the same thing. If people have not gone over and checked out your YouTube channel, Reydiant Reality, Raph's readings are top notch, top shelf astrology and tarot. I love the way that he seamlessly blends the two with a lot of care and always concern for dignity of the people that he's speaking to in the audience. That's why I have him on as regularly as we can, and more so recently. It's been a lot of fun. I also want to point everybody to the Kickstarter. I'll put the link in the chat box. We're at 175 backers a couple of days in, and we're trying to get to 200 today. That's our goal for today. So we need 25 more backers for today. The class, usually the Kickstarter takes the early bird rate and it drops it down by like $400 or $500 more. So depending on what time of year you register, you can always get the early bird rate. And that's the cheapest that we offer. And then during the Kickstarter for these 40 days, we drop it down even more. So it's 50% off from the full tuition. And I think it's, let me see, 12. So it's $400 off the early bird rate itself. And then if you bundle them together, year one, year two, my advanced programs, if you decide you want to take multiple programs, the programs that you add on keep going down in cost as you add them. So for some people, that's easily going to be the best way to save on taking my classes. And this is the way that I raise money to support this channel. This work constitutes half of my workday every single day. So I deeply appreciate your support. Couldn't do it without you. And also deeply appreciate Raph for coming on today and just lending your support and help in general. I feel a student of yours when I'm in the presence of you reading tarot. So I deeply thank you for that, and always learn something from people like you who come on and help me with stuff. And you're one of my faves of all time. So thanks for being here.
Likewise, mate. I'm going to post this on Instagram as well. I'll put it out to everybody. And if you don't mind, I'll post the link for your Kickstarter as well.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah,
my pleasure.
Super appreciated. Well, everyone take care today, and we will be back tomorrow with more content to close out the week.